So welcome everyone, I'm Gail Boyle from the Mamaroneck Historical Society, and we welcome you to a very unique program today, a performance by a wonderful guitarist and composer, Carlos Pavan. He'll be joining us shortly, but first I wanted to introduce, before we introduce Carlos, we want to take a minute to answer the question that everybody keeps asking us: why is the Historical Society sponsoring a musical program? Why aren't we just doing a lecture on history? Which I guess we do enough of, right? So recently, one of our Historical Society's members, Mike Meany, did some amazing research, and he did a presentation on what our community, how many ethnic groups are in the Mamaroneck community. And people were fascinated with the information. And it's also one of the big questions that's always asked. You know, the waves of people coming into our community and how does that change us and shape us. And so throughout history, as you know, Mamaroneck has been home to waves of immigrants, each new group transforming who we are. So due to the interest in this question, who are we? The Historical Society applied for a grant through ArtsWestchester. And so because of that grant, we were able to bring Carlos, and in May, another band, the Liz Slade Bluegrass Band, to Mamaroneck. So ArtsWestchester, along with the Historical Society, are our sponsors today, and thank you to the Christian Science Church for allowing us to be a part of your historic building. This is an amazing building, built in 1930, so you're sitting in historic seats in a historic place, and now we're going to learn a little bit about Carlos's history and heritage. So the grant we were awarded is called Celebrating Our History and Heritage Through Music and Dance. So today we get to hear some music. Carlos is from Argentina, and he'll be sharing with you some of his connections to his heritage. During intermission, we invite you to share any connections you have to music in terms of how it defines you or your family. And just another side story, Carlos was originally scheduled to perform here in Mamaroneck last September. He reached out to us and said he would be happy to perform for Hispanic Heritage Month. I got all excited, we got all excited, and then as you all know what happened in September, you know, Hurricane Ida literally decimated our community, and so therefore we are now exactly 6 months later, and so we've invited him to come at this time to share. 6 months after the flood, it's hard to believe, right? So anyway, Carlos is amazing, and a very funny man too, so let me introduce you to Carlos Pavan. Carlos. I'm sure you probably will forget, because I know I did. Turn your phone off, the sound, if you haven't already. Thank you.
Good afternoon, my friends, and welcome. Probably you were expecting a young and handsome Argentine, but this is it.
We got one.
To begin, I would like to share with you a traditional milonga, which is a very popular style we have in Argentina and Uruguay. Milonga comes from the tango family and the folklore family. It's used in both styles. And this is a traditional milonga that I composed for a folk singer, very, very famous from the 60s, who passed away a few years ago in a very strange way. Yeah? A full-time drummer. Thank you, my friends. Gracias, as we say in Argentina. Yes, I've been living in New York 20 years. 20 years is living in Brooklyn, and I still have this terrible accent. Some things they don't go away. Yeah? To continue, I prepared for you, I'm going to make tiny changes in the program for good, believe me. I would like to share now a little bit of folklore, very special because my mother is from the north of Argentina, which is very folkloric. Close to Bolivia and Peru, there's a lot of indigenous influence in the rhythms, mixed with the Europeans and everything, so it's very crazy, yeah? And this is a ritual dance from the 60s. Maestro Héctor Ayala was a classical and tango player from Buenos Aires, no, from the north, but he lived in Buenos Aires. And he had classical technique, so he used rhythms from South America with a little bit of classical technique to he left some wonderful music for my generation. Now I'm happy that a lot of European and American players are recording his music. Yeah? If you do something good, it will stay and people can enjoy it. That's the point. Thank you very much. Good? Sounds good?
Excellent.
Oh yeah. I feel this beautiful bass. You have a great bass. Yeah. I love the bass. It makes you feel like, you know, it's hard to be alone with a classical guitar. It's like being. Yes. My friends, to continue. This is time I would like to share with you a lullaby. Yes? A lullaby that I'm recording I composed it in my second CD that I have here a few years ago in Brooklyn. It's a lullaby for when my nephew was born. Yeah? And using some technique from classical music, which is the prelude. And the tremolo that I would like to show you today is very humid, right? I always use the same excuse. But this is a very difficult system. It's called the tremolo from classical technique. They also use it in the Italian mandolina or in the Russian balalaika. Because sometimes they use a pick. In the classical guitar, you have to use it very fast, using your fingers like this. Yeah? I'll try my best. Yeah? In humidity, it gets difficult. We'll see. And this is a lullaby that I have in my second CD if you're interested. And by any chance, if you feel sleepy right in the middle, that means that I'm doing a very good job. It is a lullaby, after all. Thank you very much. What else we have in the program for my friends, Memorial? Yes? Now I would like to show you, since I showed you traditional folklore, now a more contemporary piece using folklore from the north again, but with a little bit of jazz influences. I studied jazz for 20 years, and originally that was one of the reasons that I came to this country, to study jazz music. My teacher was a very good jazz player, and he used to tell me, Carlos, why don't you go to the United States and study jazz? That's what you like. Now you're young. I was in the late 90s, a spring chicken. Yeah? And that's why I came here to study jazz. But slowly, as you get older, I start going back to my roots. But still using the jazz harmony for improvisation and to have more freedom. The Argentine harmony is very simple. That's why I keep the originality from the rhythms and the harmony, the American jazz harmony, you have more freedom and more variety. So I try to mix both with some classical European influences, the great masters, Stravinsky, Bartok, Debussy, and Hindemith. Hindemith lived in Stravinsky too in the West Coast. Yeah? That's my chamber side. And this is a carnavalito. You will notice the Bolivian influence in the rhythm. Yeah? This is from a new CD that I have here if you're interested. Only 100 euros. It's time now for the waltzes, yes? And I would like to mention, I prepared for you two types of waltzes, yes? We have, I would like to explain how we got the waltzes in South America. We have two types. The European waltz, especially the French and Italian, that kind of influence, it went into the tango music, yeah, in Buenos Aires. And then we have the famous Peruvian waltz, Afro-Peruvian waltz. That type of influence, it went into the folklore family. That's how they separated, yeah? And I prepared for you two of this type of waltzes. Number one is a little bit sad, but it's from I recorded in my first CD. It's from there's some European, let's say, influences. It's like a classical waltz, it's a farewell waltz, yes? My godmother was a unique woman, very bohemian, born in a difficult place, in a difficult time, so she had a rough time. And she left early, like some people do. But it's not about quantity, it's about quality, right? Now, my friends, it's time for the spring waltz. Yes? And using some jazz harmony that I studied, the good old masters, yes, and especially Coltrane, Miles Davis, Duke and Thelonious Monk, Villela, Charlie Mingus, all that generation, amazing. In guitar, Wes Montgomery, Joe Bass, Charlie Christian. Yeah. My teacher was a big fan of jazz, and he gave me all that information when I was a teenager. I still use some of the jazz harmony you can hear, but now my own way. Well, at least I try. This is a spring waltz. It's tango time?
Huh?
It's tango time.
Tango. Oh, thank goodness.
Yes.
We've been waiting for that
time.
tango.
Why not? Yes. My friends, I prepared for you 3 of the most famous tangos. You will recognize the melodies right away, yeah? Number 1 is called el choclo, means the corn. Very strange title for tango, but it looks like the composer used to play in this nightclub in Buenos Aires after midnight, that kind of place. And this was the melody of the place, they say. That could be true, or it could be a product of my wild imagination, so we'll never know. Number 2. Por una cabeza by Carlos Gardel, who was a famous actor and singer who came to America after Valentino passed away. They were looking for that kind of male, good-looking actor. And Gardel came here and he did 2 movies for Paramount. He was already famous as a very macho tango singer, amazing voice and very impeccable presence. And he was an actor too. And then he took the wrong plane at the wrong time and became a legend. Yeah? Right after the American tour, he went back, and in Colombia, he had a plane crash and he died. And he became a legend. It's amazing. And they say in Argentine slang, they say, each day he sings better. It's a popular phrase. He died in 1935. I remember, I was very young. I'll let you think on it. And number 3, and Por una cabeza by Carlos Gardel is, you might remember from the movie Scent of a Woman with Al Pacino, when he's the blind general. Remember, he dances with this beautiful skinny girl. They dance, that's the tango in the background. And I know some of the musicians, they record the soundtrack in the 90s, early 90s. I used to play more tango back in my day. And number 3 is La Comparsita, perhaps the most famous, yes, from Uruguay originally. La Comparsita is from Uruguay. But it's the most, perhaps internationally, more famous. You will recognize the melody right away, if I do a good job. 3 tangos for my friends in Mamaroneck. And remember Victor Borga? The one and only Victor Borga with the piano jokes? He used to say, I love him. He used to say, and if you don't like it, there's absolutely nothing I can do about it. Right. So sometimes I ask my friends from the audience, would you like to take a short break? Or we go straight to the end?
Go straight to the end.
That's the spirit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's lovely.
Can I get a drink on the side? Just
No,
kidding.
you may not.
No, a little bit of water.
No, now that.
Oh yeah, no.
You like them out there.
It's here.
Oh, yeah, there's the water. I knew I put it somewhere.
It's vodka, but I let them to put it in. I have to keep my decency.
Not from Russia.
Right, I know.
Can you tell us a little bit about your guitar?
Yes. This is a classical guitar. In South America, we call it the Spanish guitar. Yes? And I have a few ones. My first one was from Germany, very good, but it took 10 years of a lot of traveling. And now, this is the new one. It's about 3 years old. It's from Spain, from Madrid. It's very good. It's from a family that they've been making guitar for like 100 years. Yeah. It's very good. It's like virgin, so it's very rough. It took me, when I bought it, the owner told me, if you have patience, it will open up. But it's like a virgin guitar, so because you see that I hit it a lot. I do percussion things from the folklore side. So I say I might need a new guitar because it's going to take a lot of action. And especially in this country with all this everywhere now, with the weather changes, classical guitars are very sensitive to weather changes. Humidity. In Brooklyn, the dry air from the heat when you practice in small rooms. I cracked like 3 guitars already. So you have to be very careful. You have like 3 humidifiers in my place, all around. Yeah, because they crack, and it's like $10,000, and it cracks in. It's strange. The better the guitar, the more refined and sensitive and sensible, easy to break it is. So.
Can't really see how many strings you have. Is it 6 yet?
6.
Yes.
Now, my friends, it's time to continue. Welcome to the second set. Yeah? I would like to play for you another special rhythm, and this time also, since we're celebrating some cultural heritage, this is another of the most important people who came from my country, which was Maestro Borges, Jorge Luis Borges, the famous writer. Yes? The one and only. Amazing books. You can find it translated into many languages in any public library. Yeah, you can find it. And the music I'm about to play is from his famous book called Fictions, 1942. Fictions. Short stories. Borges had the capacity that in 3 pages he will, or he can start from Dante to, he has that capacity. He can get very simple with a gaucho story, or go from Dante and the Greek through Socrates, and he has amazing, very highly intelligent. He got blind in the early 60s. Imagine Beethoven deaf, and Borges got blind. Anyway. And this is a rhythm from the south of Buenos Aires, even more. It's like Patagonia. It's like a waltz inside of a milonga. So it's in 3 beats, like the waltz. And the milonga is in 2. But this is called estilo. The gauchos, you know what's a gaucho? Gauchos like a Latin cowboy, right? They do like a peasant. They do rural hard work. They live outside the big cities. They don't like the big cities. They live outside the big cities. And they play folklore. They have rough technique. They drink a lot, that kind of thing. But they keep the tradition going on through generations, yeah? And you need some of that. Like the gypsies in Europe, and they keep some of the tradition alive with their rough lifestyle and their migrating all the time for survival, basically. But they have the raw nature, the same thing that Bartok used in collecting folk pieces in the 20s and 30s. When he was traveling around Romania and Eastern Europe collecting gypsy melodies and folk melodies, otherwise they will be forever forgotten. He wrote it down and published a book, and now we have this amazing music. Like some priests used to do it back in the day, to collect folk melodies, write it down, and publish it so well, people from the new generation can enjoy it. And now I'm talking too much, so I'm going to play. Mention this little piece, it's longer. This is like a suite that I'm about to publish soon. And in this particular story from the book Fictions from Borges, the librarian, he finds this very old book. Yes? So he rushes home to read it. By rushing, he gets into an accident. And the doctors send him to Patagonia for recovery. Life is easier, open spaces, good quality of breath, air, yeah? And then something else happens. But I'm not going to tell you, so that piece is using that kind of rhythm. Yeah? Now, number 2, from the same book, there is like this gaucho peasant cantina, a little bar where gauchos come to drink in the middle of nowhere. And through the window, the owner is looking a horseman coming very slowly in the middle of nowhere. Through his window, he's paralyzed. He sees the horseman coming very slowly, and he senses that something is not going to be good. Yeah? It was very Borges style. So you can, I hope you can use your imagination, seeing the people coming, and there is one guy waiting for him after 7 years, because yes, the other guy took his brother's life. and now he comes to pay his debt. We've been waiting 7 years. There you go. Fictions, 1942. In this story, Borges, as a young man, he travels to Uruguay for a vacation in the countryside with his family. Yes? And then he meets, going around with his horse, he meets a very strange character, like a loner in the middle of nowhere after a storm, and who always knows exactly what time is it. Without, back, this is more than 100 years ago, no watches, no nothing, yeah? The guy knows exactly always what time is it. And they barely say a few words, but nothing really happens. A few years later, he comes back for vacation with his family again to the same place, and he asks about, small town everybody, oh, what happened with that guy? The guy who always knows what time is it. They say, oh, that guy, he had an accident. He fell down the horse, and he became bedridden. We say, wow. Anyway, that's it. And a few days later, he receives a letter of the guy in bed saying that he would like to borrow some of his books. And he thinks that it's a joke. So, and he borrowed some of his books that Borges brought from Buenos Aires, Latin. He's learning Latin. and then they meet again. And they have this long talk through the night, all through the night. And it's amazing. You have to read it. Yes? So, and the story I'm using to match the story, a rhythm from Uruguay called candombe, Afro candombe, and milonga from Argentina, to match the story. Yes? This is one of my favorites from the same book. It's very, very. My wife has it in English, and I have it in Spanish, so we can. And sometimes I read it in English to try to explain, the details, which is hard. This is called Di Tiramo. Di Tiramo is a gaucho slang from Uruguay that the gauchos will talk between themselves, so the boss will not know what's going on. Yeah? Something like that. Thank you for your attention. I know it's not easy to hear. One instrument, simple, with this terrible accent. But it's all right. And what else we have in our program? No cheating. No cheating. Yes, I have a special piece for you that I wrote. I'm about to publish for my teacher. I had the good fortune to study with the legendary maestro Jorge Morel, who passed away last year, age 89 years young. Young. 89 years old, young. Was the maestro. I studied composition and classical guitar when he was living in Queens in, 2010, 10 years ago. Amazing human being. They don't make it like that anymore. He traveled a lot and he published a lot of books and he recorded a lot of music. Amazing energy. And The last few years he couldn't play anymore, his hands, and he had a bad back. So he started painting. When I saw the painting, since some people have that art inside, the painting were amazing. And he said very humble, I think I'm getting better. Wow, how can you paint like that? Some people have the art, breathing. That's why they keep in a very good mood. And although his body was messed up, his brain was sharp as an amazing human being, very intelligent, always reading and watching good movies. Information, not entertainment. Information, culture. Yeah, quite a bit difference. And this is a piece using 3 generations of Argentine folklore. He showed me this little piece. It was like an informal arrangement. And he said, Carlitos, you have to add your little thing, which I do. Yeah? So there's 3 generations of Argentine folklore, from very traditional to middle to contemporary. Yes? We learn from the past to go towards the future. Yeah? saved the best for last. And if I dare, I would like to throw an extra tiny short piece that I know that you will enjoy the anecdote. This is a piece from my second CD that I recorded with a string quartet in some pieces, and some pieces alone. That was a lot of work. String quartet, phew, that was part of my composition studies. Yeah, very difficult, especially the classical guitar. Usually, I was telling my new friend, usually I play without amplification. It's a good guitar, and you need a good acoustics and the power of your hands. And so when you play with a chamber ensemble, the guitar always loses because the sound projection is very limited. And so you have to be careful when you write the arrangement. The guitar is always louder. For example, the violin is piano, the guitar will be mezzo forte. If the violin is mezzo forte, the guitar will be forte, always higher. Anyway, and yeah, it's a trick that you learn along the way. Composition surrounded the guitar, the classical guitar. But this is a piece that I recorded dedicated to my mom. Yeah, my mother. And the first time I played it, she was quietly listening. Yes? And then she looked at me and she said, "You could have been a lawyer like your father." To finish, I would like to offer you, I saved the best for last. I should be a car salesman. It will be easy to pay the rent, believe me, especially in Brooklyn. And my friends, I prepared for you the last piece. It's one of my favorite folkloric dances. It's called Malambo. Malambo is a very macho, unique dance from the north of Argentina, mostly in the summer festivals, alongside a lot of wine and empanadas. Yes? Malambo is unique because it's the only folkloric dance that the gaucho show it off. He dances alone, show it off to the lady with his fancy steps. He has some boots, special boots, that he dances with very syncopated, tricky rhythms that he does with his boots. Very fancy. I think there was, a few years ago, there was a show in Broadway, or somewhere in Broadway, called Malambo or something. But it's rare to find here. It's a summer festival kind of thing, yeah? And usually, while the gaucho is showing off, there is a guitarist in the background doing this. Yeah? With a lot of variations and repetitions. Yeah? And the guy is showing off his syncopated, fancy steps. And I'm going to try to imitate some of that. This is a piece from Maestro Ayala from the 60s, that it was very beautiful but very short. So I took some liberties to expand it, yeah, using my knowledge. Some jazz, not too much, because the original should stay original. And I would like to thank the people from the society, Miss Gail Boyle, yes, for making all this possible. And I apologize the names that I forget, my age, start forgetting. Except where is the wine store. Yes? And my friends, well, I have some of the CDs and some of the music I'm publishing if you're interested. And like the song says, we shall meet again some sunny day. costume. Yes, why not? Just a sip of water. Now, my friends, what can I share with you? Oh yes, this is one of my favorite, this is a milonga, which is for me, in my modest, humble opinion, the milonga is the closest you get to the Argentine and Uruguayan gaucho personality, yeah? Because it's slow, mysterious, very melancholic, nostalgic. Yeah. Argentine tango lyrics are the saddest. Alongside, the only thing that comes close, I think, is the fado from Portugal, which is very sad music, very beautiful. I've been to Portugal. I played 4 concerts. 2016, I was very impressed. I went with my wife, and we organized a little tour, and I stayed a full week in a museum. They let me, how do you say, residency? It was like a beautiful apartment for a full week in exchange for a full concert for free. They give me a full week for free, so I don't have to pay a hotel. I think they call it residency. It was a very good deal, so you don't make any money, but I experienced and I learned a lot about Portugal. People is wonderful. And the food. Those grilled sardines in Portugal, wow. Yeah, with vino verde, they call it green wine. Yeah, people are so friendly and very affordable, even for a musician, so very affordable. And but going back to this is a milonga based on a book that I'm going to publish in the milonga in Denmark. I'm publishing my music in different countries, yes. And this one will appear in Denmark very soon. And then I have 2 American publishers and 1 in Japanese one, but yeah, it's too far, so it takes forever. The shipping and the extra fees, anyway. That's good. I want to share what you do. This is a milonga based in a book from the 60s about 2 very important families in Argentina, and the description is very authentic. And it was like a Nobel Prize in the 60s in Buenos Aires for the details, how they describe in the book the gaucho life and how rough, like here, like everybody, how history is made with a lot of blood.